and gentlemen, would you please welcome the next president and the next first lady, Mr. Mitt and Ann Romney.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to... Now that is quite a welcome. Thank you so much. Let me, well, first of all, thanks to... Thank you to Kid Rock. That was fabulous. And let me introduce you to the next First Lady of the United States, Ann Romney.
Thank you to Kid Rock. Let me tell you, we are kids of Detroit, Kid Rock and I are, and Mitt is a kid of Detroit. And we love Michigan. We love Kid Rock. We love that he stood up for us and helped us out through all this time. That's been our theme song. It's been a long journey. It started in New Hampshire a year and a half ago. Our hearts are full. And what we have learned by going on the trail is we've seen the America that you all love, that we all love. We fear it's in danger. We feel it's slipping away from us. I love this country. I love the people that I've seen in this country. But more than anything, I have loved hearing the voices of the women that I've heard all across this country. And I have to tell you, so many women are hurting in this economy, and I have some hope for you, because guess what? Hope is on the way, and it starts tomorrow. So let me introduce to you the next President of the United States.
Now, because we're among family tonight, I wanted to introduce you to at least one of our sons. This is the one you don't see very often, but he's a doctor that lives out west, and he's been out campaigning for me, my son, Ben Romney. Ben? These guys. Now that is quite a welcome. Thank you so very much. And you know, this is a special moment for Ann and for me, because this is where our campaign began. You got this campaign started a year and a half ago at the Scammon Farm. And then your primary vote put me on the path to win the Republican nomination. And tomorrow, your votes and your work right here in New Hampshire will help me become the next President of the United States. Now, look, I want to thank you for the work that so many of you have done, making calls from our victory centers and putting a sign in your yard, and sometimes putting a sign in your neighbor's yard, and convincing a friend or a co-worker or two to vote for Paul Ryan and me. And of course, what makes this rally and all your work so inspiring is that you're here not because of one person or because of a party. You're here because of America. Now, this is a campaign about America, and it's about the future America that we're going to leave to our children. We thank you, and we ask you to stay in it all the way till victory tomorrow night. Tomorrow we begin a new tomorrow. Now, perhaps some of your friends and family have not yet made up their mind who to vote for. I'd like you to make sure and talk to them and see if you can convince them to come join us. Ask them to look beyond the speeches and the attacks and all the ads, and to look to the record. Because talk is cheap, but a record is real, and it's earned with effort. Change was promised by the president, but change is not measured in speeches, it's measured in achievements. Four years ago, Candidate Obama promised to do so very much, but he has fallen so very short. He promised a post-partisan presidency, but he became partisan, most partisan, blaming, attacking, and dividing. And it's not only Republicans he refused to listen to, he also didn't listen to independent voices. He was going to focus on creating jobs. Instead, he focused on Obamacare, which killed jobs. And then he said he was going to cut the deficit in half. Instead, he doubled it. And then he said that unemployment would now be at 5.2%. It's at 7.9%. And by the way, that's more than just a percentage. That's 9 million Americans that are out of work. And that's the number that we should have had he been right in the forecast he made, as promised. Unemployment today is higher than when the president was elected. He promised that he would propose a plan to save Social Security and Medicare. He didn't. In fact, he raided Medicare to pay for Obamacare, $716 billion. He said he would lower health insurance premiums for the average family in America by $2,500 a year. Anybody here had your premiums go down by $2,500 a year? No, actually, they're now higher by $3,000 a year. And gasoline, the American family pays $2,000 a year more for gasoline than when President Obama was elected. He said he'd work across party lines on the most important issues. He has not met on the economy or on the budget or on jobs with either Republican leader of the House or the Senate since July. So instead of bridging the divide, he's made it wider. Now, many of you here in New Hampshire look at the challenges we face as a nation, not first as a Republican or as a Democrat, but as an American. You watched what's happened in this country over the last 4 years with an independent view. You hope that President Obama would live up to his promise to bring people together, to solve the big problems. He hasn't. I will. Let me tell you why he fell so short of what he promised. It's because he cared more about a liberal agenda than he did about repairing the economy. I mean, did Obamacare create new jobs? No. Did his war on coal and gas and oil create new jobs? No. Did those Dodd-Frank regulations help banks make more loans? No. Does raising taxes put people to work? Did his avalanche of new regulations help small business? No. Well, you passed the test. Now look, almost every measure he took hurt the economy, and it hurt our fellow Americans. 23 million Americans are struggling to find a good job. 1 in 6 of us is poor. And the middle class is being squeezed as take-home pay has gone down by $4,300 a year, and the cost of everything from gasoline to health insurance to food to utilities has gone up. This weekend, I spoke with the wife of a 60-year-old man, in the prime of his life, I might add. And he has worked as a welder for 40 years, but he just got laid off. His wife asked what I could do to help them. She made it very clear. He doesn't want a government check. He wants a job. And so the question of this election comes down to this. Do you want 4 more years like the last 4 years? Do you want real change? Now, President Obama promised change, but he couldn't deliver it. I not only promised change, I have a record of achieving it. I built a business. I turned to run another one. I helped put an Olympics back on track. And with a Democrat legislature, I helped turn my state from deficit to surplus and from job losses to job growth. And we went from higher taxes to higher take-home pay. And that's why I'm running for president, because I know how to change the course the nation is on, and I'll do it. You see, accomplishing real change is not something I just talk about. It's something I've done. And it's what I'm going to do when I'm president of the United States. Well, if you, like me, believe we can do better, and if you believe America should be on a better course, if you're tired of being tired, then I ask you to vote and to work for real change and make that happen tomorrow. Paul Ryan and I will bring real change to America from day one. When I'm elected, I know the economy and American jobs will still be stagnant, but I won't waste any time complaining about my predecessor. From day one, I'm going to go to work to help Americans get back to work, and people across the country are responding to our 5-part plan to create jobs. Part 1, as you know, is taking full advantage of our oil, our coal, our gas, our nuclear, and our renewables. On day one, I'm going to act to increase the number of leases and permits to drill on federal lands. And I will act to speed the approval of the Keystone Pipeline from Canada. Now, second, I'm going to move to boost trade, because we're a productive people. Trade helps create more jobs and rising incomes. I'll do that in particular with Latin America. And by the way, I'm going to finally designate China as a currency manipulator. They got to play by the rules. Number 3, I'm going to send to Congress the Retraining Reform Act to make sure every worker can get the skills they need for a good job. And number 4, I'm going to move to tackle out-of-control spending. I'm going to send Congress the first of several fundamental reforms. I'm going to call this first one the Down Payment on Fiscal Sanity Act. And with it, we will immediately cut, not just slow the rate of growth, but cut federal spending. You see, I'm not just going to take office on January 20th. I'm going to take responsibility for that office as well. And number five, I'm going to act to boost small business and all business. I'm going to issue executive orders aimed straight at the problems that are holding back this economy. Number 1, I'm going to grant state waivers from Obamacare to begin its repeal. Number 2, the second will launch a sweeping review of all Obama-era regulations with an eye to eliminating or repairing those that kill jobs. And for the first time in 4 years, every entrepreneur, every small business person, every job creator will know that the President of the United States and the government likes them and likes the jobs they create. Now, you know well that America's choice tomorrow is going to lead to one of two very different outcomes. If the president were to be reelected, he'll still be unable to work with the people in Congress because he's ignored them, he's attacked them, and he's blamed them. The debt ceiling will come up again, and shutdown and default will be threatened, and that freezes the economy and hurts jobs. The president was right the other day when he said he can't change Washington from the inside, only from the outside. Let's give him that chance, okay? Let's do that. Now, the way I'm going to do it when I get elected is I'm going to work with Republicans and Democrats in Congress. I'm going to meet regularly with their leaders. I'm going to endeavor to find those good men and good women on both sides of the aisle that care more about the country than they do about politics. Now, if the president were elected, he would continue his war on coal and oil and natural gas. But when I'm elected, we're going to change course on energy, because to build jobs and help with prices at the pump, we need to achieve North American energy independence within 8 years. Now, if the president were reelected, he would continue to crush small business. And I mean this seriously. His plans crush small businesses because he's raising their taxes. He's forcing unions on companies where the employees don't want them. He wants to expand regulations, impose Obamacare. That will crush small business. I care about small business. I see small business as a way for people to fulfill their dreams. Last week, I met with Rhoda Elliott in Richmond, Virginia. She's been running her family restaurants for years. It's a business that's been in her family for 82 years. At its high point, she employed 200 people. She just closed it down. She told me the Obama-era regulations and taxes and Obamacare and the condition of the economy just put her out of business. And then she teared up. This wasn't about money. This is about the future for her family and for her family of employees. Look, I want to help the hundreds of thousands of dreamers like Rhoda, and I will. Now, you know that if the president is reelected, he'll say that he's going to improve our schools. But he'll do what his largest campaign supporters, the public sector unions, insist upon. And your kids will have the same schools and the same results. When I'm president, I'll be the voice of the children and their parents. There is no union for the PTA. I'll give parents the information they need to know if the school that their child is going to is failing, and also the choice they deserve to send their child to the school that will be best for that child's success. You know, as president, I'll do what I did when I was governor. We took our schools to the #1 spot in the country, and we did that by working together, Republicans and Democrats, and by listening to the good advice of our best teachers, and by listening to parents, and by always putting the interest of our kids first. Now, these last months of our campaign have seen the gathering of strength of a real movement across this country. It's evident in the size of these crowds like this tonight. My goodness. And I understand that there are a few thousand people outdoors that couldn't get in, too, so hi to them also. But it's also the depth of our shared conviction. It's made me strive even more to be worthy of your support. and to campaign as I would govern, to speak for the aspirations of all Americans. You know, I learned as governor of Massachusetts that the best achievements are shared achievements. I learned that respect and goodwill go a long way and are usually returned in kind. That's how I'll conduct myself as president. I'll bring people together. I won't just represent one party. I'll represent one nation. Throughout this campaign, using every argument he can think of, President Obama has tried to convince you that these last 4 years have been a success. And so his plan for the next 4 years is to take all the ideas from the first 4, the stimulus and the borrowing, Obamacare and all that, and just do them all over again. He calls his plan forward, and I call it forewarned. That same path means $20 trillion in debt at the end of 4 years. It means crippling unemployment continues. It means stagnant take-home pay, depressed home values, and a devastated military. And unless we change course, we may be looking at another recession. In his closing argument just last week, President Obama asked his supporters to vote for revenge. Instead, I ask the American people to vote for love of country. Together we must lead America to a better place. We're one day away from a fresh start, one day away from the first day of a new beginning. My conviction is that better days are ahead, and that's not based on promises and hollow rhetoric, but on solid plans and proven results, and on an unshakable belief in the greatness of the American spirit. If there's anyone worried that the last 4 years are the best we can do, if there's anyone who feels that the American dream is fading away, if there's anyone who wonders whether better jobs and better paychecks are things of the past, I have a clear and unequivocal message. With the right leadership, America is going to come roaring back. The only thing that stands between us and some of the best years we've ever imagined is lack of leadership, and that's why we have elections. Tomorrow's a moment to look into the future and imagine what we can do to put the past 4 years behind us and start building a new future. You saw the differences when President Obama and I were side by side in our debates. He says it has to be this way. I say it can't stay this way. He's offering excuses I've got a plan. He's hoping we'll settle. I can't wait to get started. Americans don't settle. We build, we aspire, we listen to that voice inside that says we can do better. That better life is out there waiting for us. Our destiny is in your hands. Tomorrow we get to work rebuilding our country, restoring our confidence and renewing our conviction. Confidence that we're on a solid path to steady improvement. Confidence that college grads will be able to find better jobs when they graduate. Confidence that single moms working 2 jobs will have a shot at a better job. Tomorrow, on November 6th, we come together for a better future. And on November 7th, we get to work. We reach across the street. I need you to reach across the street to that neighbor with the other yard sign. And we'll reach across the aisle in Washington to people of good faith in the other party. And this is much more, because this is much more than our moment. It's America's moment of renewal and purpose and optimism. We have journeyed together far and wide in this great campaign for America's future. And now we're almost home. One final push, and we'll get there. We have known many long days and short nights, and now we're close. The door to a brighter future is there. It's open. It's waiting for us. I need your vote. I need your help. Walk with me. Walk together. Tomorrow we begin a new tomorrow. God bless you. God bless New Hampshire. God bless the United States of America. Thank you so very much. Let's win this one tomorrow. Thanks, you guys. Thank you, New Hampshire.